Alright, come with me to Eastern Washington. This time I'm doing a keynote for a doctor's conference. First thing first, check into a hotel. St. Katie Lodge, I love you. And then you go ahead and get a badge. That way you're official. Now, the day before the presentation, I always want to get to know the audience a little bit. So I go to the cocktail hour and do magic because, I want them to like me before I even keynote the next morning. And then I go back to the hotel and do some rehearsal. Basically, talking to myself like a crazy person. Now, in my presentation, I use a lot of camera work. So I have a 6 a.m. sound check. The night before, I did all the camera setup. That way, it's easier for me the next morning at 5 a.m. to go see the beautiful sunrise over here, walk into the conference room, and do my setup. And here is my setup. I've got a laptop, hook up to an ATEM Mini, hook up to a Teradek, hook up to a camera remotely. That way, I can switch between my camera feed and my PowerPoint slide with just a touch of a button. Boom! Just like that. And we are good to go. And then I sit in the back, wait for the introduction. When 8:05 a.m. comes around, here we go. Showtime! Let's do it! Don't you agree that having empathy and being empathetic is a human nature? It's just that from volunteering the crisis line, I learned there are communication techniques that can amplify your empathy to make someone truly feel cared for, listened to, understood, and empowered. Because this jar right here is actually not empty. This jar is actually filled to the brim with water. Once the water is out of the jar though, now I can show you how this is done. The jar goes back into the bag over here, and the cube goes into the bag over here. 1, 2, 3. Can you hear it? Can you hear it, Mark? Watch, inside the bag over here, all the way, the jar and the cube has now completely combined as one thing over here. That is how we do this, okay? Give Mark a big hand right here, yes! You see, when we were so focused on how to solve the problem, we did not even notice that the jar was full of water already. My question for you is, how do you think someone feels when they're stressed, when they're overwhelmed? Right? So the first technique we learn from Crisis Line is that you must avoid jumping into problem solving immediately. Spend the first couple of moments to truly connect with the other person. Listen first, quote unquote, let them dump their water first. When you make a snappy judgment on something, before you see it from the right perspective, you might get it wrong. And the same thing actually happens in communication, because when you make a snappy judgment on another person, before you see things from their perspective, before you understand their perspective, are you getting the full picture? Thank you, y'all. Have a good day. Thank you. So that's a day in the life of a keynote speaker. I'll see you next time.